ladies and gentlemen. This is the 8 o'clock spot exclusively on the GRYD Network. I'm your host, Mike Guido. And if you're wondering what the hell's going on here, you're not alone, because this is a very special episode. If you've noticed something different about our little boxes here, then again, you're not alone. So let's introduce our panelists. Again, I'm Mike Guido. Over to my left, my left, right? The waist that I'm facing is Tim Barnard, the host of the Boston Sports Summit. Timmy, it's been a while since your last appearance, and listen, you've had it in for the last host, over the past year or so. So how do you feel about your chances tonight, bud?
Well, I feel much better than the Patriots getting a win on Sunday. I can tell you that much. I mean, Bryson, I know you try to make for good TV by just bringing me to the finals every single time and then losing for 14, maybe 20 consecutive weeks, something like that. But it's good to be on. I do want to just say one quick thing. As a Patriots fan, it bummed me out when I heard my own players, the players that I go to support every single Sunday, call me spoiled. That was just an absolute disgrace from a disgraceful team, from a disgraceful season. That's really what it's come down to.
Well, listen, you're not the only one that's going to be voicing your frustrations, I'm sure, as in that respect. I want to skip Bryson for a second because I want to say I want to save him for the last bit. But currently our points leader, by the way, GRYD contributor Arthur Hurst, finally took me down. The GOAT took me down last week, conquered his kryptonite. Art, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I feel like Israel Adesanya when he finally beat Alex Pereira. You know what I'm saying? It just feels good. But sports has been very, very kind to me of late. I'm really enjoying all of my teams. Even the Lakers aren't disappointing me too much. Right now, everything is going where I think I would expect it to go, and I would love it to go. So I'm doing great.
And see, he got a big win yesterday, too. Ohio State beating the ever-loving hell out of Oregon in the college football playoff. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then finally, as a panelist making his 8 o'clock spot contestant debut, the host of the Carving It Up podcast, the general host of this program, the 8 o'clock spot. May I introduce to you for the first time as a contestant, Mr. Bryson Carver. Bryson, how you feeling, my friend? Listen, you've got big things coming in your life. This is why we're making things like this happen. How you feel today, my friend?
I'm feeling great. It's weird. It's funny. I came in this room about 35 minutes ago. You were in here working on stuff. I'm like, it's weird to be on the bottom portion of the screen with the contestants. But listen, I'm excited to get into the arena to compete against two of these fantastic contestants. I got to say, it's sort of in reference to what my man Arthur was saying. I was in the dumps when Tennessee got smashed by Ohio State in the first round. But 2024 was kind to my Volunteers. The baseball team won the Natty. Okay, the football team made the playoff. Basketball, we made the Elite Eight. We're number one in the country. Women's basketball, we're undefeated and top 15 ranked. I'm feeling good. Go Vols. And hope Mike Tomlin can win a playoff game. And I'm ready to go tonight, baby.
Now, that's what I call carving up the context,
and
right?
Good reference. Get that stuff out of here, Tim. Okay?
DJ Lagway. Come on.
Let's get it rolling. Hey, listen, me and Tim can agree on one thing. DJ Lagway is going to be pretty darn special in these next couple of years. I think that kid's going to be good, Timmy.
Yeah. He's good.
So, if you don't understand how this show works, well, I feel bad for you because you've been missing out on like a year and a half of great content. But listen, it's a point system, right? We rank takes here. But before we do that, by the way, let's take a look at our leaderboard. And would you look at that? It's Arthur Hurst right there at the top. Boy, I'm coming after you, Art. I'm right there on your tail. Paris Brown at number 3. Barry Grant Jr., who hasn't been here in about a year, is sitting at number 4. There's Timmy Barnard at 29 points in the 5 spot, followed by Tyler Reddington, Alfred Parsard, who's going to take over as the host of 8 o'clock spot in the coming weeks. Asher Moore, Eric Van Linton, EJ Savage, Eric Ruiz rounding out the leaderboard, and Bryson Carver going to be carving his name into this leaderboard after tonight's show. If you don't understand the rules, let's take you there, okay? Best take, you get 5 points. Second best take, you get 3. Third best, you're getting 1. We got 3 contestants, so everybody's coming home with a score after every round. And boy, are we going to have a lot to discuss today. First of which being, let's talk about Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this is an interesting topic because we're talking about a team that had just drafted J.J. McCarthy in the first round of last year's draft, but now we're kind of seeing the rumors of, are the Vikings going to stick with Sam Darnold as their starter? So let's bring in our own Tim Barnard, host of the Boston Sports Summit, to kind of lead off this whole charade here. Sam Darnold's having a great year in Minnesota, Tim. They just drafted J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan last year. First round, they spent a premium asset on him last year. Are they going to stick with Sam Darnold, and should they?
Well, first and foremost, I would say they absolutely should stick with Sam Darnold. I mean, I don't understand why you would break this core up right now. I mean, the way Sam Darnold is performing is having the best year of his career, and it's by a massive, massive mile. In terms of completion percentage, best all time at 68.1%. His next closest was 61.9, his second year with the Jets. Most career pass yards in a single season at 4,153. Next closest was also his second year with the Jets at 3,024. Has thrown the most TDs of his career. The second closest was 19. And then has a 106.4 passer rating. And his closest was his second year with the Panthers, where he only played in 6 games. And he had a 92.6 passer rating. Listen, Sam Darnold is 27. J.J. McCarthy's 21. I know the Vikings just picked up Daniel Jones, but again, we've seen, I think, all that we've seen from Daniel Jones. So I don't understand why they wouldn't just keep 2 quarterbacks. I mean, hell, look at how Joe Montana played when he had Steve Young. And I'm not comparing Sam Darnold to Joe Montana or Tom Brady when they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying the 2 quarterback system, I think, is something that this team is doing, and Sam Darnold is reaping the benefits of having finally a good organization, a good coaching staff, and elite talent. I mean, with Justin Jefferson and, of course, guy number 2 escapes me, but Aaron Jones at running back. My only fear, and again, if they make it to the NFC Championship, I'm not going to hold that against them if they lose. But my only fear with Sam Darnold in the long run, is he going to be the next Kirk Cousins that will lead Minnesota to the playoffs, put up 4,000 yards every single season, but then, fall short in the first round, the second round, or even the NFC title game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you make a lot of good points there, Timmy. I mean, it's interesting. You bring up that really solid argument of, are the Vikings setting themselves up for another Kirk Cousins, or should they just take the gamble on the kid that's currently serving as the backup right now? So let's bring in Arthur Hurst with this. So listen, Art, it's an interesting situation, right? I'm sure that before the season started, the Vikings didn't expect to be in this position, right? We've kind of seen what Sam Darnold has been since he was drafted, 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, we're looking at a guy that has had a pretty mediocre professional career and all of a sudden burst onto the scene. So what do you think? Do you think the Vikings should, and do you think they will stick with Sam Darnold as their future quarterback?
There was a really nice video that came out right after the Vikings did what they did this weekend. And it was a Sam Darnold moment. And you could just see how this team just embraced him. And you have Coach Kevin O'Connell out over there in the corner just watching it, and he's smiling. You can see how much this team has come together this year. You can see how much they love their quarterback. At the beginning of the year, it was going to be J.J. McCarthy, another young quarterback coming in immediately, starting and doing his thing. It was going to be him. And then he got injured. No one saw this coming, but we know that Kevin O'Connell is the quarterback whisperer. He's had Manziel, Colin Kaepernick, Kirk Cousins, Colt McCoy, Jared Goff. He had Matthew Stafford. Now you have Sam Darnold throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. You have him being able to command this offense. He's 4th in passing yards, 5th in touchdowns, 13th in QBR. I believe that you continue to go with him. I don't believe you should franchise tag him, because then that gives him extra motivation next season to say, you know what? All right, watch this. I'm going to do better than I did last year. And we know that the saying goes, yesterday's price is not today's price. No, today's price is not yesterday's price. So I believe that you be smart. You give him the deal that you believe he has earned. If he wants a little bit more than that, I believe you take that risk and you let him do what he does. And you continue to let JJ McCarthy get healthy. You allow him to truly develop and learn, which is not something that we usually see now from young quarterbacks. Michael Penix Jr. just got thrown into a situation, but he said that Kirk Cousins really helped him along the way, and he was able to learn from Kirk Cousins. Now he's the future, right? They have moved on to their future. So I believe you allow Sam Darnold to continue to do what he's doing. As Tim said, do not break this core up. Let them continue to flow. Let's see how many years they can do this. He's only 27, right? And JJ McCarthy is a young 21-year-old. Let's see how much longer the Vikings can do this before they move off on year one.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up too. I mean, it's Sam Darnold, he's always been kind of like admired, I think, for his talent, even from when he was back in college, but nobody's really been able to tap into that. So it's interesting that you bring up that point. Finally, first time as a contestant, Bryson Carver. This is weird, right? You're even on the wrong side of the screen. But listen, Sam Darnold, he's having one hell of a year in Minnesota. There's no secret to that. And there's a lot of things that can attribute to that. But listen, they just spent a premium first-round draft pick on J.J. McCarthy with the plan of him being their future starting quarterback. So what do they do now? Do they extend Sam Darnold? Should they extend Sam Darnold, or should they maybe cash in and hand the reins over to J.J. McCarthy?
Well, I think the question is, it's going to depend on how far the Vikings go in the playoffs. If this is a team, obviously this game against Detroit coming up is massive to decide the North, to decide the 1 seed. My question to Minnesota would be pretty simple. What's the rush? Okay, you talk about a kid in J.J. McCarthy who, yes, did a good job at Michigan, won a national championship, but we do talk about a guy who, to a certain degree, I do think is somewhat of a system quarterback. Think about Brock Purdy in San Francisco, for example, because I'm seeing some people compare Darnold's success with what my two previous competitors both said. Great coaching staff, Kevin O'Connell, the weapons he's got around him. Compare that to what Brock Purdy has in San Francisco. This is where you have to actually watch the games. The eye test and what Darnold is doing. The throw he made at the end of that Seattle game down the sideline to Justin Jefferson is one of the throws of the NFL season. He was absolutely sensational. He's gotten better over the course of the season. We kind of all been waiting, at least I have. Okay, when's the pixie dust going to come off Sam Darnold? Is this just a product of Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings coaching staff, and Justin Jefferson? And here they are with 14 wins and an opportunity to get the 1 seed. What's the rush? Okay, you've got an opportunity to keep this going. You've got a good core around you. Now, you could lose Brian Flores in the offseason to be a head coaching, to take a head coaching job. But as far as I'm concerned, you've got the weapons. Justin Jefferson's locked up. Jordan Addison's one of the best 2 receivers in football. TJ Hawkinson. By the way, keep in mind, Sam Darnold's doing all of this without his starting left tackle, Darisaw. So you talk about all of the components to what has made the Vikings successful this season. Darnold has been the bus driver to a certain degree, to use a Charles Barkley term. So I'd absolutely bring him back. I'm with Arthur. I wouldn't franchise tag him. That makes the situation kind of ugly. It creates some doubt in Sam Darnold. Does this organization believe in me? There's a rapport with him and Kevin O'Connell. Those two work together. And Mike, you sort of hit on it. Like, the talent has always been there coming out of USC. It's just, can he be able to tap into that with the right coaching staff? To Tim's point, now he's got it. He's got an opportunity to maybe go to a Super Bowl, maybe go win the first Super Bowl in Vikings history. I don't see any reason why Minnesota should move off him. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep rolling with Sam Darnold.
So how'd that feel, Bryson? You feel a little, is it awkward or anything like that?
It was weird. It was like carving it up. I'd had like a live audience watch. It was kind of not. Oh, look at there. I'm back at the top of the screen.
So back at the top. Yeah, let's fix the order here. Let's get things right where they should be. Listen, great takes by everybody. I really am impressed. And Bryson's going to come out on top in the first round here, followed by Tim Barnard with 3. Arthur Hurst. Arthur Hurst doesn't get very many 1-pointers. So I think this is kind of, this is a new territory for him. I expect kind of like a Jordan flu game maybe in the next segment. So
can I cut you off there for Mike for a second? I see what you're doing. Are you trying to come out here and make sure Arthur gets undercut here so there's enough time for you to catch up back up to the standings?
Absolutely not. I'm not. I am absolutely not that
I'm just playing with you, Mike.
I am not. Listen, I don't claim to be objective, and then I'm not. All right, I'm no Bryson Carver, by the way. That's damn near point deduction. The guy's been on here for one segment as a contestant, and then questions my integrity.
And you gave him the best score,
man.
The best score.
Yeah, and I gave you the best score. Who do you think you're talking to? I can take those points right away, Bryson. There you go. See, he zips it. All right, moving on to round number 2. Patrick Mahomes. You want to talk about uncharted territory, by the way. Patrick Mahomes did not make the Pro Bowl this season, which, again, we've talked about it timeless, numerous times over the course of this season that this wasn't Patrick Mahomes' best year. But he finished the season, or I shouldn't say finished the season. The Chiefs are 15-1. They clinched the number 1 seed in the AFC, a stacked AFC, might I say. And if you look at his final numbers, they actually turned out to be better than what most people expected. So let's talk about this, Art. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, obviously in the Pro Bowl, you got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, who ended up making the Pro Bowl in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes didn't end up making that list. So what do we say? Did Patrick Mahomes get snubbed from the Pro Bowl?
Absolutely not. Have you seen the way those 3 quarterbacks that you just named played this year? Lamar Jackson is 6th in passing yards. Joe Burrow is 1st. Josh Allen is 10th. Patrick Mahomes is 7th. That'll be the only category he beats one of these guys in. Lamar Jackson is 2nd in passing touchdowns. Joe Burrow is 1st. Josh Allen is 6th. Patrick Mahomes is 7th. Lamar Jackson, 1st in QBR. Joe Burrow, 2nd in QBR. Josh Allen, 3rd in QBR. Patrick Mahomes, 6th in QBR. No, he did not get snubbed. But the Chiefs haven't looked like the Chiefs of the past. The same way Patrick Mahomes does not look like Patrick Mahomes of the past. I get it. They just now started to get clicking, even though sometimes this season the defense has had to bail them out. But no, with the way that Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen are playing this year, absolutely not. There is no snubbing. I believe that these are the 3 top quarterbacks, the way they play this year right now in the AFC, and every single one of them have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl and win. The only thing is you got to go through Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I just said it. They are right now playing, I believe, really good ball. Chris Jones will be back. DeAndre Hopkins, he's providing. Hollywood Brown is now back. Now this team is really starting to gel, and it's like, oh, snap. They coming together at the perfect time. But no, Patrick Mahomes did not get snubbed for a Pro Bowl selection. The 3 guys that got it really deserved it. Patrick Mahomes is just going to have to try his luck again next year.
See, I tend to agree, right? Like I just, you look at how Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have been playing this year. I mean, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are toe to toe for the MVP. Joe Burrow has been sensational this year, despite the, I guess, perceived lack of success from the Bengals. They still have a shot at the playoffs. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but a little bit of an underwhelming season. So let's bring in Bryson Carver here again to kind of piggyback off of that. Listen, like we've said, this hasn't been a very Patrick Mahomes-esque year that we're kind of used to, and you're seeing the guys that are at the top of the AFC right now, right? I mean, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are playing out of their mind. Joe Burrow has been sensational this year. Patrick Mahomes, it's uncharted territory, not making a Pro Bowl, best quarterback in the league. It's weird, Bryson. Did he get snubbed or no?
Mike, I think I'm going to say something that you're going to agree with. Our big problem we have in society today is that we get so fixated on the here and now, right? Like the most recent thing is the most important thing that's ever happened in the history of the world, and that ever will happen is the most important thing that just happened. Hope that made sense. What I'm saying all that is this. If you go by just the raw numbers, just like Arthur pointed out, Burrow, Allen, and Lamar have been objectively better than Patrick Mahomes. Now, I tend to look at things from a more historical perspective, at least within the Super Bowl era. And the fact of the matter is, the guys that have not made the Pro Bowl after leading their team to 15 wins in their career, okay? You're going to start And start with Phil Simms in 1986. Giants actually won the Super Bowl that year, okay? Phil Simms threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns. You think about Tom Brady in 2003, he had a passer rating in the mid-80s, okay? You talk about guys down the list. Big Ben Roethlisberger in 04. We all know that was a Jerome Bettis-led football team. Bill Cowher, the Steelers defense, we know that works. And now Patrick Mahomes joins that list. I mean, crap, Jim McMahon in 1985 with a passer rating of 82. When we think about the 85 Chicago Bears, we think about the defense, we think about sweetness. Somehow Jim McMahon was a Pro Bowler that year. So I think we're going to view this question, I think, very differently when the season is over. If Kansas City is to three-peat and become the first team that ever does it, we're going to look back and say, yeah, those quarterbacks were better, but that's kind of weird. The first team that three-peats in history, the quarterback we know is the best in the league, but he didn't make the Pro Bowl, which, by the way, one thing, too, that I give Patrick a lot of credit on is while those guys just on the raw numbers have absolutely been better, Mahomes has been the better situational, but he's been the best situational quarterback in the league. Third down, red zone, you'll be able to convert these big plays down the stretch, these game-winning drives. So I would have given, if it were me, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson to me are the 1 and 2 for MVP. I'm sorry, I'm giving Mahomes the edge over a Joe Burrow. While it's not his fault, the Bengals are 8-8 and potentially, a playoff team. We'll see if they even get in. I'm sorry, 15 wins is better than 8 or potentially 9. I'm giving Patrick Mahomes the advantage. I think he got snubbed.
Wow. So it's interesting that you say that, because I actually think, like, as far as this whole thing is concerned, I actually think Bryson is kind of in the minority here. I think most people would agree that it isn't a snub. So it's interesting that you bring that up. It's definitely worthy of some points later on, probably, depending on how things shake out. So let's remove him. Let's take on Tim Barnard here to close out this segment. So listen, you got two opposing viewpoints, right? Art Hurst says, listen, absolutely not. He did not get snubbed. The guys that are in the Pro Bowl are playing better than he is. Bryson's like, look, the guy's got 15 wins. Okay. Situationally, he's been great. What do you think, Timmy? Patrick Mahomes snubbed from the Pro Bowl or not?
So I'm going to come at this from two different angles. Number one, the first one, pure and simple. Of course, he did not get snubbed. If you compare him to Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes and Jackson, no question about it. Mahomes is definitely not top 3. Now, if one of those guys were to make the Super Bowl, then of course Patrick Mahomes is going to get his Pro Bowl honor. And just like Mac Jones got his Pro Bowl honor in 2021. So let's not all lose our minds over the snub of Patrick Mahomes, because if one of those guys goes to the Super Bowl, Mahomes is going to get there. But my real take for this is I honestly couldn't care less about Pro Bowls, All-Star games in general, because they just don't matter anymore. The reason why All-Star games existed was because you had 3 stations, ABC, NBC, and CBS, and you couldn't watch Willie Mays play ball out in San Francisco if you lived here in Boston, unless they played here. You just couldn't do that. You couldn't watch Hank Aaron play in Atlanta. That's how TV worked back in the day. And that's why they had these All-Star games, these Pro Bowls come together. So now everybody in the country can watch their favorite players from their team, and they can watch the rest of the league all in one sitting. That's what they were really created for. And so the fact that we are still in 2024, when I can turn on Red Zone and watch every single player, I can watch any game. If the Patriots aren't playing, I can watch any singular game on YouTube TV if I wanted to, and watch all these guys play. It's Pro Bowls and All-Star games aren't the same anymore. The fact that we're still having these, and I'm not even talking about the game itself, I'm just saying the fact that we're still having these, to me, is kind of a joke, in that we're still getting up in arms over the snubs of the All-Star games, of the Pro Bowls. Because while some of these guys do technically get snubbed, I would say Baker Mayfield was more snubbed than Patrick Mahomes. It really, quite honestly, doesn't matter, because I watch Patrick Mahomes almost every Sunday, whether through Red Zone or the game live. So to me, it's just, it's kind of annoying that we're still like all up in arms. Oh my God, this guy didn't get in. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, Timmy, I think there's so many people that share in your sentiment of just like, what are we even doing? here with these damn things.
Not like it matters for the Hall of Fame. I mean, we care more about other awards than Pro Bowls.
Right. We care about all pros. We care about MVPs. That's really what we care about. It's a good point there by Timmy Barnard. Let's bring Bryson. Let's bring Arthur back into this thing. Let's get me back up at the top. See, this is what happens with formatting, man.
I like being at the top.
yeah. See, look at how good looking I am.
It's fun, isn't it?
Really phenomenal. But listen, great takes by everybody. Really, you guys are all bringing it. To be honest with you, but you know what they say. History does repeat itself. Bryson, you're just kind of soaring right now, my friend. Timmy Barnard again, 6 points. Staying there in second place. Art Hurst. Listen, Art is as strong of a contestant as they come, and he's met his match today. I think it's quite the showing from everybody so far. Still plenty of game left, though. We'll figure out how to get Art back in the game. So let's discuss this. We move on to topic number 3. Listen, we look at the AFC standings right now. And one of the guys we just talked about, Joe Burrow, right here. You see him on your screen. He's one of these guys that's fighting for that last AFC Wild Card spot. The Broncos, Dolphins, and Bengals all fighting for that spot. Now, again, there's several scenarios where either one of these teams can still make the playoffs, right? Broncos right now sitting at 9-7. The Dolphins and Bengals both sitting at 8-8. Again, it's a massive week, and a lot of things can change when it comes down to the final playoff scenarios. So, Bryson, let's discuss between the Broncos, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. Who do you think claims that last wild card spot in the AFC?
I think it's going to be Denver. Listen, they're playing Kansas City's backups. Carson Wentz is going to start. The game means virtually nothing to Kansas City, and Denver's a 10-point favorite for a reason. Listen, this Broncos team has been really good all season long. They've had one of, if not, you can make a case, one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in the NFL. Obviously, we know what Bo Nix has done this season. Sean Payton has been one of the smartest head coaches in the NFL for some time now. But it's really what's going on around the rest of the NFL with the other teams. Listen, call me a biased Steelers fan. I know I'm wearing my hat today. I think Pittsburgh's going to beat Cincinnati on Saturday. I'm shocked that the Steelers are almost a field goal underdog at home. That is easy money for Mike Tomlin historically over the years. I mean, by the way, Steelers beat the Bengals previously in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh needs a win. They want the 5 seed to play Houston. I think the Steelers are going to beat Cincinnati and knock them out before we even get to Sunday. I'm not 100% certain that Miami is going to beat the New York Jets. Listen, the Jets have had the season from hell. I've been as critical as anybody of the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, etc. But we all know Tua Tagovailoa in cold weather. Oh, but the problem is Tua is not playing. It's going to be Snoop Huntley, and respect to him. I know, Tim brought up Mac Jones Pro Bowl. Even worse than that was that Tyler Huntley once made a Pro Bowl. Okay, so like we've seen that in the past. I don't know if I see Miami winning in the cold elements. It could be Aaron Rodgers' final game. I think it could end up just working itself out to the point where, in a weird way, Denver may not actually have to win when it's all said and done. I think the Broncos are going to beat Kansas City. They're going to be in the playoffs. And face, I think it'll be Buffalo right off the bat in the first round. I don't like the matchup for Cincinnati against my Steelers, and I don't love the matchup with Miami against the Jets. Meanwhile, Denver's playing a team that has nothing to play for. I think the Broncos get in as a 7 seed.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a good point. Denver right now with the upper hand. Kansas City has already said that they're playing their backups in Week 18, so we'll see how that all plays out. Let's get Timmy Barnard in here to kind of piggyback off that. All right, Tim, Bengals, Dolphins, and Broncos for the last spot in the AFC. What do you got?
Well, if I was a smart man, I'm taking the Broncos. I mean, like Bryson brought up, they lost to Kansas City by 2, and some could argue that Kansas City got away with one on that phantom illegal contact against Brandon Jones in the second quarter. Again, it's second quarter. I know a lot of football that was played, but it did lead to a Kansas City touchdown. Otherwise, Kansas City's playing all their backups. Denver is at home. I mean, this is going to be really a cakewalk. Plus, they get to see what's going to happen in the AFC North on Saturday. I mean, with the fact that Cincinnati is playing in Pittsburgh after Cincinnati let Russell Wilson in Cincinnati throw for over 400 yards. I mean, that was absolutely insane. Plus, not for nothing, the Steelers, Bryson said that the Steelers are playing for 5th seed, but it's not like the AFC North is out of the realm of possibility. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers win, they would take the AFC North. But the only thing that I would say is, as a fan, I would rather see Cincinnati in the playoffs as a casual football fan. Not to say I'm casual, but just as a football fan, where I want to see Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I want to see them in the playoffs over Bo Nix and Sean Payton. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have been played out of the – Bo Nix is played out of this world. I looked at Bo Nix as, I think, the worst quarterback coming into the season from this draft class. And he has proven me wrong, and it's amazing what can happen when you pair a coach and a quarterback together who work. You know, I mean, this is why I get so bothered about Brady and Belichick. But again, it's a different story. So all I'm saying is Denver is going to be in. They get to see the outcome of Cincinnati on Saturday night, so they don't even have to worry about that. And I agree. Miami Jets, I really don't see Miami really putting up that big of a fight, which is why Denver's the smart bet, but I want Cincinnati in the playoffs.
I can concur in that. I definitely want it, like, as a fan. Right? Because listen, that's it. Sports is an entertainment business,
of course.
Right? As a fan, I want to see Joe Burrow in playoff games. I just want to see Joe Cool in playoff games. That it's as simple as that to me. So good points there. Let's get Arthur Hurst in here to close out this segment. So Art, I mean, listen, we've seen these guys throughout the entire season. It's the AFC was a doghouse this year. It was an absolute, blood sport. But we now have, again, this last spot being Dolphins, Broncos, Bengals. What do you think? Who takes home that last spot?
I believe originally I was going to go with Miami over New York, right? I was going to give them that edge. But I think Cincinnati can find some type of way to beat Pittsburgh. I believe that even though you have Patrick Mahomes, who is very, very good and has been good all season in situational football, I think Joe Burrow is right there at 1B. I wouldn't even really call him a number 2. I would just say they're 1A, 1B. The guy's amazing, bro. And seeing what they did in that game last week, I just feel like they know that they're up against the fence. And I think the defense also has to recognize that. You got to put it in the defense mind like, yo, y'all need to do your job. Y'all didn't do your job last time against the Steelers. Y'all haven't really done your job all season. We've kind of been in this position because you guys have just been lackluster. We need you guys to show up to give us this chance to win this game. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, they're going to do what they have to do on the offensive side to keep them in the game and win. The defense is what I'm looking at. You got to stop Russell Wilson. You're going to have to stop Jaylen Warren, who's come alive and having amazing stretch of games. Najee Harris, you're going to have to. It's going to be an amazing thing watching this battle at the coaching perspective. But it's up to the Cincinnati Bengals. How bad do y'all want to be in the playoffs? How bad do you not want to be home? How bad do you not want or season to end early? Do you still want to be playing or not? If you want to still be playing football after this game, you got to put Russell Wilson on his butt. You got to lock up these receivers. You got to stop the running game. You need to give us a chance to be able to win. Same way we give y'all chances every single drive, but you guys don't reciprocate it. So I'm going to have to go Cincinnati just because I believe they will recognize the situation that they're in and fight like hell to back themselves out of it.
See, it makes me want to run through a wall. It really does. How bad do you guys want to be in the playoffs? You just go in there and say that, and I think that gets them in. But great take there by Arthur Hurst. Let's bring Bryson and Tim back. Listen, man, this is a dogfight right now. It really is kind of impressive. Arthur getting himself right back in the game, right? Best take of that segment gets him back up to 7 points. Bryson, second best. You're up to 13. Timmy, you're up at 7. You're tied here. Bryson, you've pretty much cemented yourself into the final round as your first time as a contestant on this show. It's going to be a Tim and Arthur battle for the final spot as we talk about college football. So by the way, apparently, All Even Podcast by Barry Grant Jr. Apparently, I'm fired after this show. He says I'm terrible. Well, that's okay. I guess,
I wasn't so bad, was it, Barry?
Yeah. Apparently, I'm way worse than Bryson, so much so that I'm getting fired. Our buddy EJ Savage. By the way, if you haven't caught our first draft show with me and EJ Savage last night, make sure you tune into that. Still fresh on the totem pole right there. EJ talking about Patrick Mahomes saying he doesn't deserve to go to the Pro Bowl this year. So again, great takes by our contestants. Let's move on to the final topic with all three contestants. College football playoff, right? So I'm sure Arthur is loving this graphic right now. Ohio State taking down Oregon with a massive win in the college football playoff quarterfinals. We had Notre Dame take down Georgia earlier today in another quarterfinal game. Now, those were the two top seeds in the college football playoff. So now we're left Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Texas in the college football playoff. It's going to be an interesting set of games, I'm sure. But we're kind of left traditionally without a traditional favorite. So, Timmy, what do you think right now? It's kind of a scrambled field now, right? We've seen different performances from all of these teams. Who do you think right now, with Oregon and Georgia out of the college football playoff, who do you presume right now is the favorite to take home the national title?
That's a great question. You have Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. I mean, two schools who really haven't been in this type of scenario in a very long time in Penn State and Notre Dame. And then with how Ohio State came out and played yesterday, it was an absolute shellacking that they gave. But the one thing I will say, though, is that when you look at the stats, and, you know, I'm a big stat guy, not that big, but big enough, where it's Ohio State and Notre Dame are number 1 and 2, respectively, in defense points allowed. Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State are 1, 3, 5, and 5 in yards allowed per game, respectively. Ohio State and Texas are 3 and 4, respectively, in sacks. One constant is Ohio State when it comes to their defense. So even though their offense put on a show yesterday, it was it's been an all Ohio State defense season. You know, one of the all-time greats. The only thing, though, is you can never stop me from this, is I wish I had one shirt in particular that I was wearing tonight because it would resemble kind of how I feel and who I think is the favorite, who I want to win it all. And it's my Boston Irish shirt, which means go Irish, baby. I want Notre Dame. That's right. I believe after they just took down the best team in the SEC, and don't get me here with this Texas crap, because Quinn Ewers lucked out yesterday. He lucked out that I want to say Nate Scarborough, but that's not the kid's name. Scatterboo. Scatterboo, man. He got the MVP of the Peach Bowl, and rightfully so. But it was, oh, God, I was so pulling for Arizona State. As a Florida and SEC guy, I was pulling for Arizona State because I loved Arizona State's brand of football, how they played. Texas looked like crap until the very end of it. And so I think that the national championship is going to be a Notre Dame, Ohio State championship game. And I think it's going to really be a good game. And to me, I am pulling for the Irish. I think the Irish are going to do it after they just beat Georgia, baby. And not for nothing, hate the Dogs. Go Gators, go Irish, baby.
Talk about running through a wall. Talk about running through a wall, Timmy. Going for Notre Dame.
I got one more. I got one more. Right here. Let's go. Let's go.
You can feel the Irish healing from Timmy's screen right now. It's bleeding right now. Great take, Timmy. But let's get Arthur Hurst in here. Get his take. Big time Ohio State guy, by the way. college football. Listen, you can see the smile on his face. He's so happy that Ohio State beat the ever-loving crap out of those Oregon Ducks. He absolutely loves life right now. Ohio State with a big win yesterday. So, Art, I'm going to take a wild guess. Okay? I'm going to let you say it, but I'm going to take a wild guess. Who do you think the favorite is right now? With Georgia and Oregon out of the playoff, who do you think's the favorite right now to take home the national championship?
You know, I remember 2014 very vividly. But I remember something about that year. I remember we had this really, really great team, right? Ohio State Buckeyes. And we got the number 4 spot. And everybody was looking like, how in the world? They don't deserve it, right? And then we go on to beat a really, really good Alabama team. And then we go on to beat a really, really good Oregon team. And that was the first time I think a lot of people really recognized, oh, it's Ohio against the world. So, dog, I'm repping my Buckeyes today. All day, every day. This is what I have been waiting for. We have, look, Ryan Williams at Alabama, great. Jeremiah Smith is that dude. Nick Saban, oh, he's Julio Jones type. Throw it up. He's going to get it. Will Howard is averaging 316 passing yards through 2 games. Jeremiah Smith is averaging 145 receiving yards through 2 games. The defense is giving up 266 yards through 2 games. Through 2 games, they're beating their opponents by an average of 23 points. Now, I will say it. I don't care. I get it. They can have it if they want. That Michigan loss was needed because sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes your ego needs to get checked. And I believe that Ryan Day and that coaching staff, but especially Ryan Day, realized and recognized my back is up against the wall at this point. I can't lose. But instead of letting the pressure get to him, he was like, you know what? And this team came together and said, you know what? Let's look ourselves in the mirror. Let's get ourselves right. And now we're playing free. This isn't we have 2 dynamic running backs. Let's use them. No, we got number 4, who's a dog and a freshman. We got number 2, who's going to be a first rounder. We got this guy, a quarterback, who's now looking like this arm that came out of nowhere. Oh, and when that opens up, we have Quashon Judkins and Travion Henderson, who are explosive in space. Oh, and on the other side of the ball, we have Jack Sawyer, we got Tyleek Williams, we got Sonny Styles, we got Lathan Ransom, we got Caleb Downs, Denzel Burke came to play. Nail Ebignosin, they came to play. They're too hot right now. And I believe that, again, that Michigan butt whooping they got was needed because now you see what they really look like. Now we see what may be the real number 1 team in college football. Ohio State is playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're playing like they have nothing to lose. And those 5th-year guys, right, those that came back, those 4th-year guys, they want this. You can tell by the way that they're playing. And we are seeing an Ohio State team that is punching people in the mouth when they come out. They're not getting punched. They are doing the punching. And I love to see it.
Yeah, like I said, you can see the smile on his face. We live for it, right? By the way, on that defense, didn't even bring up JT Tuimoloau, who's one of the better edge rushers in the entire country. I mean, this is a loaded defense for Ohio State. By the way, 6-point favorites heading into the game against Texas on January 10th. So that sound right to you, Art? 6-point favorites? Should the number be higher? What do you think?
Hey, look, I get it. I really, really do. But a targeting call is a targeting no call is the reason why they won that game. I'm just the messenger. A no targeting call was the reason why they won that game. But
all right, let's get this dude out of here. Come on now, before he starts blowing everything up. Bryson Carver, listen, man, I feel bad. I get it. Your Vols, they're not here. I understand the glim on your face. I understand it. But Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, that's who's left in the college football playoff. Who takes home the crown? Who do you think the new favorite is right now?
Well, first of all, I've got a hard act to follow. I mean, Tim's out here, showing his Irish roots, and he got Art with the Ohio State hat. I got no dog in the fight because my preseason pick was Oregon. They just got shellacked, as we saw yesterday. It's Ohio State, and it's not even close. I think one thing that really got lost in that game against Michigan, the narratives around Ryan Day. And I've been a Ryan Day defender over the years, but just the game plan against Michigan, the way that game played out was about as unacceptable a loss as you'll ever see. I think we've forgotten that process. Ohio State's like the first or second most talented team in college football. Texas in that discussion, so is Oregon. But you consider the fact that they take down my Tennessee Vols, jump out 21-0, end up winning 42-17, beat Tennessee by 25. And then not only do they beat Oregon, like a drum, by the way, in the Rose Bowl, hold them to -20, I think it was -23 rushing yards, absolutely smoked Oregon from start to finish, and a team that I thought was the best team all season long coming into it, an excellent resume. Listen, I think Penn State has because I'm with Tim and what he said earlier. I'm not a Quinn Ewers buyer at all. He's inaccurate. I think Steve Sarkisian in many cases is coaching around Quinn Ewers. The roster in Texas is too darn talented to be underachieving the way that I felt they have offensively. So I do like Ohio State in that spot over Texas. I don't know if I love -6.5, but I definitely like Ohio State. As far as Notre Dame and Penn State, it's kind of hard to judge because Ohio State, the thing is, they've had the hardest road to get here. And Jeremiah Smith, by the way, is just a freak. I mean, the guy's, 18, 19 years old and looks like he could play in the NFL tomorrow. The thing with Penn State that I worry about was the big criticism. Easiest road to the semifinal by far. Wasn't even close. Okay, you got SMU round 1, then you got Boise State in round 2, and credit to Boise State for fighting. Penn State's better. It's hard to judge how good they are, especially relative to what Ohio State beat. I just think this team's on a mission. I think this team was, to Arthur's point, got a real wake-up call after that Michigan loss. I think Ryan Day has been, coaching for his job. This team's played with a sense of urgency. I think they're the most talented team in the country, and I think they're going to win the national championship at this point.
Well, hey, listen, listen, given the performance that they put on yesterday against presumably the best team in the country, there is certainly something to be said about that. As I'm getting done tallying up these final point totals, let's bring everybody else back in. Listen, man, this was an absolute dogfight. Let me just say that.
Can we just make a quick point, though, that Oregon is still technically a Pac-12 team?
Listen,
they did win the Big Ten, in fairness.
It might have won the Big Ten, but they're a Pac-12 team.
Listen, I will go ahead and say this. I think the whole conference realignment thing, pretty much eliminating the Pac-12, is unbelievably dumb. It's just unbelievably dumb. Okay, I don't care about any of the other TV crap. Arthur's 100% right. It's all this.
Oh yeah,
that's all it is, dude. It's all about that. All right, dude. This was an absolute dogfight. Okay, I've only hosted this show a handful of times. I have never had a harder time handing out points, and I blame Bryson. I really do. I blame Bryson. I really think that him going to Disney is really screwing up this whole role here. So Bryson, congratulations, by the way. You got 1 point for that last segment, but you're already punched your ticket into the final round. Don't you wave off at me. I'll take that point right away. But Bryson Carver ends up in, and the guy that's going to be facing him, I know I'm going to get called out on this. I understand. Okay. Tim Barnard put on an absolute show today. Arthur Hurst coming away with 10 points. By the way, 10 points. Bryson can say this as a host, by the way. 10 points usually gets you in. This is the kind of fight that we had over this show. So listen, much respect to Arthur Hurst for putting on an absolute show today. Just wasn't enough for the tough competition today. I'm sure he's going to be back and smoke my ass again at one of these points. But we'll see. As long as I'm host, I ain't letting him win. I'm kidding. I'm not threatening my own integrity. Arthur will check in with him a little bit later. Okay, Bryson Carver and Tim Barnard back here in the final round. So, Bryson, you feeling the pressure right now? How do you feel right now? Final round.
Blood pressure's fine. Heart rate's fine. I feel like this was kind of meant to be. Shout out to Arthur, who did put together a fantastic performance. I feel like myself versus Tim, I feel like it was kind of building up to this point, fitting that it gets to this conclusion. But
absolutely.
I'm hyped up. I've got like a Game 7 energy right now. I'm loving this.
If there's something right now that Tim wants more than anything with that new shirt on, is justice. He wants justice today. And we'll see if he gets it. Final round. Let's talk about Jon Gruden. Okay, so there's been rumors circulating. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen, right? But Jon Gruden is a hoot with Barstool. I absolutely love his content. Okay. But there's been rumors circulating that there's going to be a handful of NFL coaching jobs open, as there are every year. And Jon Gruden could be a name that could be considered for one of them. Now, me personally, I'm a huge Jon Gruden guy. I would be 100% for it because if nothing else, I just love watching the guy in the public eye. I just do. He's one of the most entertaining personalities in sports television. So Timmy, let's talk about this. Jon Gruden, should he get, there were the allegations and anything, like there was everything that went on a number of years ago with the NFL and all the emails and whatever it was, right? What do you think? Does Jon Gruden get another crack at the NFL?
So my question to that would be, why? I mean, Jon Gruden might have the best job and best situation that he could ever ask for. It's kind of like Bill Belichick in a way, but obviously that man is always destined for coaching. My thing is with Gruden, he signed this multi-year deal with Barstool. He's had a history of working in the media with ESPN and Monday Night Football, and he got back into coaching. Now, don't get me wrong. The thing with the emails, I always questioned why, because they weren't even going after Jon Gruden. It's like somebody just was like, oh, here's stuff on Jon Gruden. And I don't know if it was to deviate from what they were doing or what they were going after. Regardless, I wasn't a fan of him being let go and everything going out the way that it did. Not to say that, I was in favor of the emails. Regardless, I just ask why, because as a content creator, it's so simple for him. All he has to do is sit back, watch football, draw up some plays, do what he's done on Barstool already. And I guarantee you, he's making millions being in Barstool. I was trying to look all day to find the actual number, but even still, he has to be making millions working for Barstool. And he just gets to kick back. Whereas if he was a head coach, he would be on such a grind, getting up at 4 a.m. every day, getting in the office by 5, doing the morning practices, scouting, putting the film work together, or, studying the film for the next game, putting the game plans together. It's like, why do you want to do that? All you're doing is just making content. You're on X, you're on Instagram, you're on all the different social media platforms. So anytime I see some of these big coaches who then go to the media and then go back to coaching, I always thought, why? You have it so good right now. You're not killing yourself trying to game plan for the game next week. Don't get me wrong. The competitiveness of winning a Super Bowl is a hell of a drug. Like he's already won though with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I get it. Though I just, that's where I kind of sit there and I look at it and I'm like, listen, John, if I were you, I'd be doing what you're doing. There's no need to put your body through that grind. You're only getting older. You're a hell of a guy. I mean, at the end of the day, you're right, Mike. I would be fine with him in the NFL or not the NFL. As long as he's in the public eye, that's good with me. He's absolutely hilarious. But that's where it's like, dude, stick to content creating, make your life easy. Don't even bother going back in the NFL.
Yeah. Timmy, you sound like Gruden's best friend. Like you're looking out for his health.
I would love to be his best friend.
Who wouldn't love to be Jon Gruden's best friend? I would love to be friends with Chucky. Great take by Timmy. Listen, your life as a content creator, I'm certain, is so much easier than it is as an NFL head football coach. And with that being said, let's bring in Bryson Carver for his first final round take, where everything is on the line, by the way. So, Bryson, tunnel vision. Jon Gruden, back in the NFL? No? What do you think?
So first of all, I'm going to retort something that my man Tim said. So the thing is, and he sort of alluded to it with Belichick, is that yes, Jon Gruden is probably one of the most successful as well as naturally gifted, television guys, podcasts, whatever it is, content creators in the football space. He's a natural at it. He's got the the good Chucky voice. He's got kind of I'll tell you what, man, he's got a good vibe about him, right? He works in front of a camera. The thing that I would say to Tim is that when you have that competitive drive in you, you have it or you don't, and it stays with you for the rest of your life. With that said, I think Jon Gruden should stay in the lane where he's at, where he's being very, very successful, because I don't think it would work if he comes back. Here's why. Because people forget about Jon Gruden is that he's actually one of the smartest X's and O's guys in the NFL. I don't worry about him. He was on those Mike Holmgren staffs with Andy Reid. I think he's a brilliant schematic guy. I don't know if he's a great culture guy, but I'm not even talking about the end and how they ended in with the Raiders and all this. You talk about a guy who went 22-31 in Las Vegas. Some of those teams were quite talented. Obviously, Derek Carr was a solid quarterback. They had some good players there in the time that he was in Vegas. I don't know if not only just the culture aspect, the last time Jon Gruden made the playoffs, guys, I was 4 years old. Okay, so this is a long time removed from his previous successes. Doesn't take anything away from what he's done in the past of his career. Listen, I think the drive to be back in the NFL is always going to be there for Gruden. I think there'll be a potential opportunity in the future, be it this coaching cycle, which I doubt, or future ones. The schematics, the X's and O's, would I bring him in as like a consultant? Would I bring him as an assistant coach? Without thinking twice. I don't know if in today's modern NFL, given the struggles in Vegas, and even to a degree at the end in Tampa Bay, if he would be a good fit in the National Football League. Jon Gruden's one of the smartest guys out there, great in the media. I don't think he works in the NFL in 2025 now.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because like at least the way that I've seen things, right, with Jon Gruden is that, like, I've seen the Hard Knocks. I've seen the, all the clips of him and everything like that. He's a very like non-traditional, or I should say he's a very traditional football coach, right? Hard nosed, no nonsense. I'm really not into dreams. I'm into nightmares. You know what I mean? Like he's that kind of guy. Then by the way, Bryson, I love the impression, by the way. I'll tell you what, man, he's got me feeling nicey. I love it. I absolutely
the Caliendo impression is by far the best.
The Caliendo's got it down, dude. Have you ever seen the where Caliendo and Gruden are in like quarterback room?
It's fantastic.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm gonna need to clean up on aisle 5 after that one. It's hilarious. So I absolutely love it. But we get to the point in the show where there can only be one winner. And unfortunately for one of you, it isn't one of you. So put your hands together for the winner of this episode of the 8 o'clock spot. After making his 8 o'clock spot debut, Bryson Carver comes away with the victory in the 8 o'clock spot as we play the music. Bryson, how do you feel, my friend?
Listen, winning is intoxicating. I'm not gonna lie, and I must admit. Listen, the Red Sox. Obviously, Tim, you and I are both Boston Red Sox fans. I'm kind of lukewarm on the Red Sox offseason. I don't know what to expect next year. Steelers are in a slump. So are the Warriors. Tennessee just got the doors blown off by Ohio State. I kind of need this for my psyche to get myself back into the competitive juice. But listen, Tim put up a fantastic performance, as did Arthur. I knew with these two guys in, this was going to be a hard fought battle, and these guys did not disappoint. But listen, I wasn't just going to come in here on my only show as the contestant and just mess around here and just have fun and it be all ceremonial. I'm coming here to win, and that's what I did.
Well, listen, I here's the thing, okay? You won, and I'm happy you won. I'm happy for you.
Okay.
But you've yet to face the GOAT, okay? I'm coming for it. Next time you're a contestant, I'll make sure.
Name the time and place, Guido.
I'll make sure that I am not hosting.
Okay.
And then that episode, neither one of us wins, and it's going to be like Alfred, who just wipes the floor with both of us.
Alfred's great. I think he's going to do a phenomenal job at the show. I really do.
I'm certain he will too. Let's bring Arthur Hurst back in here as our third place man today. Usually he's the champ, but right now coming in as the afterburner right now. So Arthur, what do you think? Bryson making his 8 o'clock spot contestant debut ends up taking the win. What do you think? Did I make the right call?
Yeah, no, I mean, he came in, it's his debut. He did his thing, you know what I'm saying? I got to give him credit for that. Tim, it's been a minute since I faced him. I think I've only faced him once this season. So, as they say, styles make fights. And, I'm going to go back and watch the film on these two, And we gonna be okay next week. Sorry, my fault. I'm just concentrated on this Duke Ole Miss game right now. Ole Miss is pumping the brakes on Duke 17-0. So, but yeah, really good episode. Y'all did y'all thing, but yeah.
What do you think, Art? You think Gruden? I'll ask you the same question I asked them. You think Jon Gruden makes a return to the NFL? Should he? What do you think?
Absolutely not, bro. Enjoy yourself. That's the thing. Is like, no, I'm being like very, very serious about this when I say this. Like sometimes I just think like you just got to get to a point where like life is good. You know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing in the content space. Same thing with Belichick. Honestly, I don't see a reason why Belichick goes back. I don't. Life is great. Saban, life is great. Like you're a master. And we know that Belichick is the cliche guy. He was at his entire coaching career. But now Pat McAfee show, love him. Good. Love to see Bill Belichick whenever he comes on. You know what I'm saying? He's still got that coaching side to him, but he's a lot more personable. Now I can just be free. I don't have to sit back behind and just play the safe game and play like, nah, I can just be me. Nick Saban, I can just be me. Jon Gruden, I can just be me. So, y'all did y'all's things. All of y'all were really, two of y'all are Hall of Fame, all-time great coaches. Jon Gruden, he had his time as a really good coach in the NFL, but I think that enjoy the space that you're in right now. No need to go back. Enjoy life, and don't let what football took from you take more. So
yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. Listen, we're all looking out for Jon Gruden's mental health today, which I think is something else. Something I never thought. Those are words I never thought I would utter, but they have been uttered. So that'll do it. Bryson Carver ends up being our 8:00 spot champ in his professional contestant debut. Bryson, listen, man, I enjoyed being the host, but listen, given that this is your last show before you go away for a while, right? Why don't you close us out?
Okay, well, no, I appreciate that. That is all the time we have for today's show. Appreciate everybody stopping by as always. Catch the 8:00 spot next Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Hope everybody had a great time. Guys, it was fun. Mike, you did a fantastic job hosting as always. Tim, you were amazing. So were you, Arthur. Had a blast, you guys. See y'all next week, everybody. God bless y'all. Peace out.